What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. Now, I've recently been playing a shitload of Destiny 2 and jumping back into the game, I have a boatload of weapons which I need to be getting a lot of kills for because I either want to unlock the patterns or unlock the mats that are behind them, or I have exotics that I'm trying to get X amount of kills with so that I can unlock the catalyst and thereby improve them. So for today's video, what I wanted to share was my 3 favorite areas where I like to just mindlessly farm and just murder a ton of enemies so that I can level up these weapons. These areas are good because not only are they heavily infested by enemies that quickly respawn, meaning we get lots of kills over a short amount of time, they are also generally quite easy. And so that means that you can slap on your favorite series or anything like that, something that you're watching, throw some music in the background, and you can just mindlessly grind out these kills, and so that you can unlock those patterns or unlock those catalysts, everything like that. Furthermore, the one last thing that I wanted to keep in mind with these 3 areas is I wanted to suggest things that were generally easy to get to for any player. So yes, Shirochi waypoint is still the GOAT when it comes to farming these sort of things, but that definitely means that you need to step into a raid or somebody needs to give you the waypoint or something like that. So generally speaking, that is not necessary for everybody. Some people tend to just sort of walk away if they even hear the word raid. So I wanted to suggest 3 options that are available to the layman, to the casual, a guy like me for example, and something that you can use to unlock all of these items. Now the first one on the list here is actually the one that you need to be spending a little bit of money on to get potentially, and that is of course the Grasp of Avarice dungeon, which is part of the Destiny 30th anniversary package. Now the reason why I include this here is twofold. The first one being that it's my favorite of the 3, so I'm not gonna suggest it. I think it's the most efficient one, and it's also because you can do this alone, so you don't have to worry about sharing kills or anything with anybody else, and it's generally super easy to do. The second reason is that recently this DLC was actually free to people that were on the Epic Store, and generally speaking I think this is one of the DLCs that most people have potentially purchased due to the fact that it had the Gjallarhorn in it as well, which is a fan favorite exotic rocket launcher, and most likely that alone would have been enough reason for people to just slap down the money and buy it. So the Grasp of Avarice is a dungeon which you can play in a group or solo, and essentially it features a bunch of bosses and areas that you go through, and then eventually you can obviously unlock gear that is specifically themed to the dungeon, and you can get the exotic catalyst for Gjallarhorn as well as complete the quest to get the original Gjallarhorn, of course. Now specifically the area that we're going to farm in this dungeon is super easy because it's right at the beginning. It's as you jump in. This is the original loot cave that was famous back in the day, and so the idea here would be that you kill all of these trash enemies. They drop what looks like to be exotic items, and of course when you pick those up you have to pick up a certain amount of them, and that actually gets you to progress further. Now what we're going to do in this area is we're just not going to progress further, so we just farm this area. A bunch of these thralls and smaller enemies basically come out of this cave, and you can just essentially murder them as they step out of this cave the entire time, comfortably shooting from afar away. And the only real pressure that you will face are the 2 wizards, which every once in a while spawn at the top. But if you have a weapon that has solar shields, you can take them down, you know, or that's the solar damage, you can take their solar shields down quite easily, or you can just hit them with the, you know, whichever heavy weapon you have, and then continue on farming. The only other thing that I would suggest here is to not actually pick up any of those items that fall out of the enemies, because this starts a timer on your HUD as you can see here, and if that timer runs out you actually die. Now dying is not that big a deal because essentially you come right back to this area and you can just continue on again, but it's more like an irritating thing than anything else. So I just end up not picking that shit up at all and just standing at range and shooting the enemies. Through doing this you can basically level up, you know, your weapons, which are patterns that you're trying to unlock, or, you know, get all the kills that you need for whichever exotic catalyst that you're looking for. My second favorite area is also technically speaking part of the 30th anniversary package for Destiny. However, as far as I know, this is now available to everybody, and that's of course the Dares of Eternity game show, I would say activity, or not calling it a raid is not really fair because it is super easy to, you know, complete, but nonetheless it is a group activity that you join. Now this has matchmaking, so you will always be matchmade with other people that are also currently trying to do the activity, and this to me is a little bit more difficult than the previous one that I mentioned, and also kind of expects you to be a team player. At the very least, you should be doing that to help out with the objectives and all of that. But in essence, if you are willing to do this activity and willing to pay attention while doing this activity and be a team player and just farm the shit out of this, it has several rewards which are unique to this way of farming. First of all, of course, the primary weapon that you are using, you're going to be getting kills and you're going to be getting XP from those kills. Yes, you have to contest other players to get those kills, but generally speaking, the mob density within this activity is a massive amount, and so you'll be able to get some kills at least. Furthermore, when you get to the end of this activity, aka after the third boss or third room or third portion, however you want to look at, you are going to get loot. You are going to get keys that you can open chests up with to get you even more loot. You're going to get mats, all of that stuff. You're going to get strange coins which you can use at another vendor. You're going to get gun drops. There's chance for patterns to drop, all of that shit. So this is a super rewarding, activity, just based on the sheer amount of stuff you're gonna get. And at the same time, once you finish the activity, even the other weapons that are in your inventory that you haven't used during the run are also going to get some XP. So you can passively upgrade 3 patterns while running this farm. The one that you're primarily using will go quicker because you're actually getting kills with that. But let's say, for instance, you're using a pulse rifle in your secondary slot. You're going to be leveling that one up much quicker. You're going to get much more kills with that. But let's say, for example, you have 2 other patterns, one in your primary slot and one in your heavy slot. Those are actually also going to get XP. And by default, I think it works out to about a level every 2 to 3 runs. Obviously, this stretch increases the more XP a weapon has on it. But this is really good, and in any case, you might be running this activity to get some of those patterns so that you can actually craft them, like for instance the BXR-55 Battler, which is the battle rifle from Halo. So this is just a win, and this activity is super rewarding for leveling up your weapons as well as getting kills with any exotics. Third and final suggestion that I can make for areas to farm to level up your weapons as well as your exotics and the catalyst is the Altars of Sorrow on the Moon. I think this one is one that's probably, I would say, very familiar to a lot of people since it's been around for such a super long time. But this activity has been running the entire time since it originally started, and the point being that as soon as you get to this area of the moon, then you are going to be able to see this activity running in the background, which is essentially these groups of portals, aka altars, that spawn continuous streams of enemies moving from a point A to a point B, and you can simply just plop yourself in the middle of the area that they're running through and just farm those kills. Now, as long as the timer for this event is running, these enemies will constantly spit out of that portal and you can essentially just mow them down. The 2 benefits that I find with this activity above the others is that because we are so high leveled now, it means that you can really kill these enemies like super fast. And so that's definitely an advantage. And then secondly is also the fact that there's just such a huge amount of enemies, especially during certain waves of this activity, that you're going to be able to see some really fast progress here. The only downside to this activity is that sometimes you are quite contested for kills. Believe it or not, this activity is somehow still super popular, whether it is people that are actually coming there to get some of those weapons that drop from this if you get to the final wave, or whether it's people doing exactly the same thing that you're doing, and that is farming kills or progress in a catalyst. This can sometimes be a problem because you will be contested for kills. If you have 5, 6, 7, 8 other dudes running around, then you're going to have to be quite fast on the trigger and quite good at getting the kills that you want so that you actually get the progress on your weapon. So that can be the only limiting factor here. However, sometimes I've found myself to be quite lucky, and it would literally just be me and one other person, and that way they stay on the one side, I stay on this side, and we both just happily kill our way through and get all of that XP as well as progress. And that's it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. These 3 activities are the 3 primary sources for me to get progress on my exotics as well as XP for my weapons, whether I'm just trying to do 1 level to get a pattern to drop, or whether I'm trying to just level a weapon up to a level 20 so that I can unlock all of the perks in the forge. These are the 3 activities which I primarily use for this. The bottom line is these things like XP and progress and weapons and all of that will unlock organically over time as you you play the game, but sometimes you just want to sit down and grind out a couple of hours of progress for something, and you just want to get the most efficient work done possible, which I definitely think either one of these three will do well. But absolutely, Grasp of Avarice is top notch. So if you can get access to that, try it out, you won't look back. Let me know in the comments down below any secret areas that you have for farming, if you're willing to share that, your favorite ones. Where is your go-to place where you go for XP or progress with a weapon? But other than that, it's just super important to me that you have a fantastic morning, afternoon, and evening wherever you are in the world. And until next video, fucking cheers.
They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me.